because I'm on a juice cleanse and my stomach is fighting me. It's saying I'm hungry, like a lot. So I apologize ahead of time for any noise you hear on this end.
You know what that is? It's because the juice cleanse is unnatural.
Yeah. I know. I really want a burger right now, but I'm trying to be good.
All right.
So we're just gonna go through your list?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think we'll go through the list, and I have some responses already written out, so you can read those, and then if there's any clarification or you want to talk about it, we can talk about it.
Perfect.
If there's any follow-up that we need to do, we'll just note that. We'll do that.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So a lot of my questions kind of revolve around that 2016 CO, like how y'all spending it. My biggest question is, and I can't even remember what meeting it was in, but it's in regards to something that Mr. Perry did. It was for engineering on the wastewater treatment plant, and then it was going to be reimbursed out of the CO funds. And I think you made a statement about it in the meeting about it being, and I think you even asked Bo, how much did we spend on that? Where'd it come from? And it's, well, it came out of the 2016 COs. So I was like going back and forth, like, why do you get reimbursed for it then? You go, is it like because it's money you're spending out in front of it? I'm just trying to understand the process. Okay.
Out of our operating funds, and then we reimburse ourselves for that expense, which is a legitimate expense out of the COs.
Okay. So was it out of the 26? Because it does
Well,
it all in the
problem-
general fund? Are all of those COs, or are they line item in different areas?
The COs are kept separate from the general fund.
Okay.
They don't have anything to do with the general fund.
Because we're restricted on how we can spend that.
Mhm.
It has to be segregated.
Well, we're restricted to the category of
Yes.
expenditures, not amounts.
You're restricted to what
So-
the resolution stated. Okay,
Right.
this is for
That's
wastewater
right.
treatment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and that started in the 2016. So we had a certain amount for.
Well, the
that.
resolution said like 10 million, but I don't think y'all went out for that much. How much did y'all go out for?
Yeah. Well, here's one of the problems, and remember, this was all done before we got here. So and we're having to reconstruct some of this stuff that happened. But the original 2016 was $10 million, around $10 million. But only part of that, probably about half of it, was for the wastewater treatment plant. Knowing that it was going to be a lot more than that, but that we were going to borrow the money later on to do the construction.
Okay, quick question on that. Let me pull this up. Okay, so when they went out for that in 2016, they asked for 10 million, and it says sure, 3 million for immediate repair and maintenance of the city and wastewater infrastructure. And the council supportive of that action at that time. So they used 3 million of it immediately to do wastewater. And but there's a real need for expansion of water and wastewater infrastructure. So that's why they asked for the maximum. And I can send this to you too. But it all says it goes to wastewater.
It was an
Look,
arbitrary.
Water and
I
wastewater.
understand about that issue. We can explain to you what happened, the why they did it, why they borrowed that money in advance. That's all I'm telling you. We're not trying to justify it or just telling you that's what they did.
Okay, so they're
If you're
they're
asking, would we typically borrow in chunks and let it add up? I don't know. I'm just saying that whole part of what Charles just explained was a decision that was made at that time.
okay, but
That
where
I
I'm
wasn't
going,
part of.
yeah, I get that. I
So,
I understand that wasn't y'all's deal, and it was kind of like playing
Okay,
off
just
of
as long
that.
as you understand it philosophically, why did we do it that night? I can't really.
Well, you
we're
didn't
just
really do it,
guessing
did you?
that.
You didn't go out for those 2016 bonds, did you?
That was literally my first meeting a city manager.
Yeah, I mean, it'd already been done.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I get that. But where I'm going with this is, why are we loaning the EDC $2 million out of 2016 CO2 bonds?
Is that the crux of your?
The crux of my
question?
thing is,
Okay,
why are we, because that
because
money
we
was
had-
dog-eared for
No,
wastewater.
We had in that authorization, in that, offering statement, it said that for land acquisition.
But you didn't acquire
Okay.
the land. The city didn't acquire the land.
Well,
No, it's
EDC
illegal,
the
illegal.
EDC is part of the city.
It is a
They're-
division of the city, but it's incorporated and it's an entity upon its own
Whole-
self.
wholly
Keep in
owned
mind that
subsidiary
this
of the city.
again.
Yes,
was
but
done-
but when you borrow
Yes.
governmental non-taxable funds, you can't lend them to another. You can lend them to another entity within the group for that purpose of
So I'm
what it
saying
says,
they're
yeah.
not a separate entity. All their assets are owned by the city, all their liabilities.
But from a
If we-
reporting
no,
standpoint.
if we dissolved them, we would take all their assets and all that.
We,
we
the city,
assume all of that.
the city created them
Can I get
by ordinance.
can I get a copy of that? Because I've looked everywhere for the.
State law.
No, I'm
On
talking about
EDC.
I'm talking about the EDC charter. That's not on the website. Can we get that on the website? Because I've a lot of people asking questions about that.
I don't know if they have a charter.
I mean, I remember
We
when
have
it was
it- we have
done.
the
It was
ord-
back in the late '80s, early
We have an
'90s.
ordinance that created them. We can get you
But they don't
that.
have their own. They don't have a charter by
I
which
think
they work
might
on.
Have their own bylaws or something. You know that charter means something different to us. Our city charter was what's adopted by the public, the taxpayers.
Yes, it
We're
says
bound by law to do that. They don't have a charter like that. Do they have a set of bylaws, rules they
Yeah,
follow?
it's
Yeah,
bylaws.
I think they have that. But
they'll have some kind of operating how they
Yeah,
they
They have
think.
bylaws.
Yeah.
I mean, because they're incorporated, they had to give something to become incorporated. That's what I don't understand. How they incorporate as
yeah,
a subsidiary.
I don't know what you mean by incorporated.
They're a corporation. Are they not an incorporated incorporation, or is it? Why do they call it a corporation then?
All of them are called economic development corporations.
I figured they were incorporated when they
Yeah.
called something a corporation.
Look, they're essentially a department of the city.
Yeah.
Except they don't report to the city.
Sure they do.
Sure they
Yeah.
did.
No, they report directly
No,
to the city
no,
council.
Any action that's taken has to be approved by council, so they're a part of the city.
Okay, that's where the confusion is getting it lies, because per y'all's org chart, like they roll up to the city council, but I mean, I understand that y'all go to the meeting. I mean, you're the finance guy, you're the guy for the city,
I do it for them too.
yeah. No, I understand that. What I'm saying is y'all are their person of information for that group, but it doesn't.
The
Why
only-
does the org chart do
The
it like
only-
that?
Because the only distinction they made a few years back was, and again, haven't forgot her, so I don't know the why, is that the executive director used to report directly to the city manager like every department head. So they made a change that the council agreed to say the executive director gets hired and fired by the board, not the city manager.
Is that an amendment to the city charter? Where does the EDC
No,
fit in
no.
that? Because it's not part of the charter.
Yes.
So that's what that's where
fine.
it's hard to see
But
where.
that's what we're trying to explain to you. They're not mandated by law. They were created, the whole EDC
No,
concept is created by an ordinance of the city council. The city council could vote next week to disband them. And we would take in all, as you said, we'd take in all the assets and all of the liabilities. Getting back to your original question, that's why it's not, we're loaning money to ourselves essentially when we loaned them money. It wasn't a conventional loan. So I think that's maybe
Okay,
the
so
confusion you're
yeah,
talking
maybe
about
if I can get a
is
copy of that agreement, the resolution agreement that y'all did for the back and forth of the money.
We've already provided you that. That's the memorandum of understanding. There is no other loan.
Memorandum.
I emailed it to you.
Memorandum of understanding.
The EDC and it was the ordinance that you
the
requested.
city council adopted when we acquired the land. It talks about all the terms, how it'll be paid back.
Okay, I don't know how I overlooked that. Okay, let me. That's in your email, so.
there's a resolution that adopted that memorandum of understanding, but that's what you're looking for, the MOU. So you follow what I'm saying about the confusion about the org chart?
No, not really, because I'm just trying to figure out where and when they were.
Well,
Because I remember when
the
they were,
issue you're
because my
talking
mom was
about-
still here and
All right,
when
the
they
issue
did
you're
that.
talking
So
about is why it can appear confusing to people is because for whatever reason, they made this distinction about the executive director. As you know already, all city employees are hired and fired and work with the direction of the city manager. Well, technically speaking, right now, they made that distinction a few years ago. But every penny spent by the EDC has to be approved by and authorized by the city council.
I do know that.
So there's not frankly, we had to have this discussion with a couple of board members to have them understand they're not a separate entity. They're part of the city. The main reason is they spend tax dollars. You know how that works, right? They get the sales tax dollars and they spend those dollars. Well, simple common sense tells you there's never a situation where appointed individuals have exclusive control over the expenditure of tax dollars. It always flows up to the city council. But somewhere along the way, nobody spends tax dollars without some governing body signing off on that. So, while now as a practical matter, has the city pretty much routinely endorsed about whatever the EDC wanted to do? Yeah, and certainly my time here, and their whole point is they have this segregated amount of money, and they stay within that segregated amount of money. So it's not, like I said, there's, at least in my time, there hadn't been a lot of debate between the two, so there's certainly plenty of examples all over the state where there is heavy debate.
No, and it's not a matter of debate as much as a matter of showing the, show me
No, I'm just saying,
show me the
if
value.
It appears to be simple. That's one of the reasons why, because there's no arguing about how we're spending the money or why. But every agreement they do, every land sale, every budget, every year, every development agreement they sign, that's ultimately approved by the city council
So that
in a
resolution.
public meeting.
That resolution was.
Can we try to make sure we go through your list?
Yeah, we're
Can
going
we
through the
just
list.
Stick to that, and then we'll circle back
Well,
to
this,
these.
yeah,
broader
they're all
questions
kind of,
you have.
they're all kind of going together. So that's where I'm
Well,
going
I
with the
want
20.
our goal today to be good. Say we
Yeah.
go through this list.
All right, 26. Well, and that's all the list is together. So,
Okay.
all right, 2016. The stuff that y'all spent on that. I just would like an accounting of that. A breakdown accounting. Perfect. Awesome.
If you wanna go to the detail of every single invoice and every payment and every check, it's all there.
Okay.
Can you,
And most of y'all's
And that's much
They're all
more than
ACH.
what these 3 items are.
do you mind telling me where you got those from? I don't even recognize those. And that number, what's that mean? Did you pull that from somewhere?
Yeah, I
That
pulled
was
it from
just a
the-
sequential number that I put on the total list of all the.
Yeah, it's just
Oh,
like
that's not a
it's like a
page
project
number.
list.
Oh,
No,
okay.
it's like how y'all do your project list. How you just kind of go down. It happened to be the 2016 numbers.
I just didn't recognize it.
Okay.
But if you wanna, again, if you want a breakdown and you want a check and you want a copy of the check, a copy of the invoice, all the stuff, we'd have to pull that, and that's being stored off-site. And that's all documents that we'd have to send somebody out there to pull those documents. If you want that, that'll cost you.
It's never been a problem before.
I assume you know that's gonna be the response, the detailed response to a lot of your questions here.
Yeah.
That we're here to give you the basics, but if you want more,
Yeah, I get that.
Okay.
I get that. Okay, so let's go down this. I'll go through there and I will detail my request so that it meets just those that I'm asking about. So why did we stop doing the quarterly financial reports? Because as I'm reading back through the old financials,
I never did one.
You never did one. So when you,
When I
No.
got here, they didn't.
2017, 2018?
No, I never did one. When I got here, they weren't doing them. I never did one
When did you start working?
in 2018.
18. Okay. All right. Okay, so then maybe that's a question for you. Why did we start doing quarterly?
Never
Just
been asked for 'em.
so we're not going to give it unless we're asked for. Okay.
No,
Well-
It's
not
like-
really. Okay, so
It's like we expect these city council members to just look at this and get it and vote on it. And it is a trust thing. But when we have the things that happen with the quarterly investment reports where, okay, I know. And that, imagine sending that to a board of directors.
What would
You
be
know,
wrong
if you
with
want
that?
to.
I'm not being ugly. I'm just saying,
Well,
if that happened in
have
an
one of your
executive
council
setting,
members, have one of your little minions, make a resolution that, or make a resolution that they want to, do something to the finance director, fire him, do something, and let them vote on it.
Look, let's just move
Yes.
on. The answer to your question is, we haven't done them, we haven't ever been asked to do them.
okay.
The B question is, we've never stopped reporting on funds. We provide reports all the time. Audit reports, budget reports.
Not quarterly
Back-
financials though.
Yeah, but back to what you were starting to say, the truth is, we don't do these reports because one lone citizen asked for them. We take direction from the city council.
Oh, I get that.
Until a majority, well then, that should be the answer to your
Well,
question.
but what I'm trying to
We
do,
don't
Tom,
need to
okay,
keep-
can I have a word? If you're going to
No,
talk
I'm
over
not-
me the whole
I'm
time.
not talking over you. I'm
Okay.
not done saying what I'm saying. The council, we take direction from the council. They insist on wanting these reports, we'll talk about them. I've worked here for 6 years, nobody ever asked for it. And the fact that you thought you found one typo on one presentation of report and try to make that into a big deal is kind of silly.
It carried over for a full year.
No one else.
Nobody caught it.
So
Carried
and
over
then
for a full year that nobody
your next-
caught in
your third
4
question
quarters.
is the copy of the line item budget and amended. We have those here. Do we have them all here?
Yep.
You know what the budget looks like.
Yeah, I
right?
do.
And you know it's online.
You know,
It is online, but do y'all not have anything that like puts it per accounting, per like accounting code where you're pulling this from? I mean, y'all have some system where it's like pulling it into an actual line item accounting report, or is it just this reconstituted information that's I mean, therein lies why we have typos. If we're not pulling a report that just pulls this all
Correct.
into it.
Yeah, so we have, are you talking about like our new software that we have actually pulls
Whatever
that?
y'all
Yeah.
use
No,
as a
no,
line
no, this
item.
is what we
Okay.
use to create
To
that.
generate
Yes,
that.
Yeah. There are
Wait a
some
minute.
where,
This is, you asked for the budget and the amended budget. We have those.
Okay.
We can provide them to you. They're online. They're available to you right now, have always been available to everybody. But if you want hard copies of them, just.
Okay, well, let me-
Jennifer will get you the number for what that will
Well,
cost
no,
you.
if they're online, that's fine. I'll
Okay.
look at those. If y'all don't have anything else that y'all do because there's questions I have on them. Let's just go to that.
Okay.
Let's go to that since we're at the line item budget area. Okay, the one thing, your report that you just did. One of the questions I had, and this is just as a citizen, I came in, switched water over at one of our houses and paid my deposit, but I can't see where those deposits are actualized. How do y'all do that? Is that like a separate account y'all keep, or you keep a
deposit-
percentage or
the
something?
deposit is a liability account that doesn't show up on the budget. It's not in revenue. It's
Okay.
a liability account.
A liability
It's a
account.
so
deposit.
it's just sitting
It's
there.
set in somewhere
Yeah,
separately.
Yeah, it just sits
Okay.
there, yeah. That's why we don't have to adjust it.
All right. And so when y'all
And
started
I'm
this
not
internal,
sure that's public information, isn't
it's probably not, but it's just like, it's like
it?
if they don't
Just-
see it, people ask that question. They're like, well, where's my, it says this where it has other things
People
in the
ask
water.
you that question.
You would be so surprised the questions I get,
sure
Tom.
would.
Yeah,
I'd be
you
surprised
really
if
would.
anybody asked you that question.
Okay.
God bless
Where their
America.
deposit is.
That it's like, well, if I'm going to get my deposit back,
Let's
with
go
the
to the
water
next
bills are
thing.
going up.
Has anybody
Deposit.
said they didn't get their deposit back?
No, I
or
haven't
It wasn't
had that.
applied.
No,
to
they,
their
I
last
actually
bill?
no. Guess what? That happened when I closed out my dad's account. It was applied and
when
moved
people
on.
ask you a question, you tell them you don't know, they should ask the city. Do you tell them that?
A lot of people just come to me because I'm out there and
That's not
ask.
what I'm asking you. Do you
No,
tell them?
I
Because you don't.
if I don't know the question, I do direct them to somebody. I directed that person to Dodi Nevejas.
All right, do you have other questions about the line item budget?
I do. Reimbursement ordinance. All right. Let's see where I dotted. That'd be easier here. Okay, I do have a question about the, let me get to it. The new, all the fees that y'all realize it's gonna fill your rainy day fund. How is that, how do y'all, what do you get from the developers as far as like projections of where, do y'all get like monthly updates, y'all get quarterly updates as to where they're at in their process at
Why
all?
would they do that?
Because, I mean, because you're gonna be realizing.
It's all based on plats,
Mhm.
on approval of plats. That's what they pay on.
Okay,
Once they come in and say, okay, I've got 100 plats I want to build on, that's when we collect the money, and that's when it shows
okay, so
up
when they're
on
coming
tax
into
revenue.
what, file their plating stuff is when you
Yeah.
collect?
When they file the final plat.
Final plat, that's what I'm getting at. It's like, I mean, you have no way to, it's just gonna be just realized money and it comes when it comes?
We make no.
I'm not asking for promises, Tom, I'm just asking for the process.
Let me finish
Yeah.
my answer. I think I know what you're asking. None of our financial planning is projected on them meeting their development plans. The information you get from developers are basically what their sales goals are. This is how they think they're gonna sell property.
Mm-hmm.
We're not doing our financial planning based on them realizing their estimates. Certainly, I believe you've lived here long enough to know plenty of developments.
Yeah, they'll fall apart.
That have been talked about here that never happened.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what the final plat is? That's
Mhm.
get preliminary plat, says you can build these lots. Final plat means you're ready to get building permits, means they're ready. That's why they pay at that time, because we pretty much know at least
Yeah,
those
they're
houses
going
are
in.
gonna get built. So that's when we have the money. So the truth is, these guys are all over this.
Mhm.
Homestead came in and said probably 5 years. Now they've gone crazy. They think they're gonna be done in 2 years. Well, we're not gonna make financial commitments based on that assumption. So that's when we talk about what we think it's gonna be, that's all we can do. We're not gonna make financial plans. We're not gonna commit to $1 million road projects based on the assumption that they're gonna deliver on what their projections are.
Is there
Is
a
that
way?
what you're
No,
asking?
that's what I'm asking. I understand you can't pipe dream, but by that same token, is as that money rolls in, I mean, it was realized to put in the rainy day fund to
Not rainy day.
well, it's the
two
operating,
different things.
it's
No,
the
no,
3
no.
month operating, and
That's totally different.
that's not where that's going.
Those are- No.
Where there's development, I thought that's
The
what you said.
The surplus at the end of the year will go into that, into the reserve.
Rainy day fund, the reserves, what you're
Okay.
calling that. That's
that-
unencumbered cash to keep us going 3 months.
But that money's realized from those development
No,
stuff.
no,
It's
no, no,
not.
no. That's
There was like
totally
$1 million something plus.
That,
Where's that? I
I
mean,
don't know what you mean about
Okay.
that. There's totally, well, let
Is
me,
that
let me try to
$700?
answer this.
1,200.
That is operating surplus that's segregated for cash reserves. It's the city's savings account, basically. All these development fees, the County Line Road Fund, the master development fees, all those others, that's a separate pile of money. It has nothing to, they have nothing to do with each other.
okay, so there's like any of those development fees that like, it was like 1,200% increase or something.
Yep.
That's
Oh,
not
no,
gonna
no,
go
no,
into
no.
that.
That's, no, what you're talking about there is building permit,
Mhm.
basic building permit. As you might imagine, we've done a hell hell of a lot more of that in the last year or so.
Yeah, no, and then of course
So we've charged more fees. So that, yes, that's general fund revenue. That will help make up that. But those project development fees you're talking about, those are different fees. Building permit fees is plat review, zoning change, building permit. You already had the building permit, we send the inspector out. Those are operational fees, how we pay our inspectors, all that. That's different than the county line road fund.
Yeah, I wasn't talking
different.
about the county road fund. I was
It's
talking
different
about
from
as
the
they.
master development fee that we're getting from the MUDs. That's different from the parkland dedication fee.
And being, we get that revenue, but we're paying an expense for it. So it, usually, most of the time, it like evens out. It just so happens we're doing so much.
That's the different part of that. You
Yeah.
know, that if we ever stop this building, then that revenue number will go.
Oh, yeah.
way down, too. So that's why it's.
Well, it's a one-time realization. Those development when they plat it, isn't it?
Development fees.
Yeah.
No, that's what I'm saying. You have a final plat fee, right? You submit your preliminary final plat. We review it, we send it to the engineer, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes there's back and forth, we have to send all of those fees are just to review that piece of paper,
yes.
that plat. That what goes in the general fund, that's what helps contribute to this surplus we're talking about.
But that is finite as well,
That
is what
they-
we're going. What is
no,
I
it's
saying?
not finite because just the scenario I talked about, the first time you file a plat, it could be perfectly right. The next guy can file a plat and have to redo it 7 times, and he pays a whole lot more in review fees than you did when you did it right from the first time. Those are all operational costs that go in the budget. The county line road fund, parkland dedication, those are, you have to make the finite lump sum payment in addition to these other review costs, if you're the developer, you see what I mean?
Yeah, I completely see where you're going. I'm just saying that permit, you're gonna. Well, I guess unless they permit it again when somebody else buys it and they add an addition or something. But that's the last time you're going to see that source of revenue from that house once it's done.
Yes.
Am I not right about that?
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
That's what I was saying.
It's finite in that sense. When we sign off and approve it, you don't have to do anything more. Yes.
And you get your
That's right.
CO and that's it.
What I mean is, we have development agreements to say specifically, when you do this, you owe us this lump.
Yes.
That's okay.
No, I get that.
Those are 2 separate things, go in 2 separate places.
And so, how many of these development deals have you done? I mean, because you inherited a bunch of them.
In Elgin?
Yeah.
No, pretty much all of them.
Trinity was not yours, or was that a re-envisioned one?
All the MUDs are Trinity was a MUD that existed. It existed as a MUD 20, 30 years ago. I don't know, a long time. Most people seem to have known about it. They were different in the fact that the legislature already approved them to have a MUD, but they had no development agreement. It just was, they were authorized by law, you can have a MUD on this land. But they never went forward with a development agreement. We did the development agreement since I've been here. Brixton, all 3 MUDs, I've done those. Really every development. County line subdivision, what's the other one beside it?
They never did them before.
No, that's.
No MUDs, no.
This whole deal about getting contributions for roads, for land, they never did that before.
No, I realize that. I get that.
What's the one beside county line out there? There's county line and something else that's kind of together.
The Homestead, Eagles Landing,
No. I mean.
farther down?
That existed a long time ago.
KB Homes, or the
Whatever,
Shenandoah Edge. No, KB.
East of County Line Road. All that stuff was here when I got here. Saratoga had about, Saratoga behind, that was the new one, probably had 1/3 of those houses built when I started. But everything since then has been since I've been here.
So we didn't have a developer agreement.
Well, that
No,
kind of
that's
talking
right.
about Saratoga kind of leads us into the TIRZ because I'm trying to understand that one too.
Well, wait a minute, let's do the number 3.
Well, reimbursements, we kind of talked, we went back and forth on that already. So
And
I kind of get that
well,
idea.
When you say agreement, the point is there's not a contract.
I get it. Yeah. No, I got it. It's
So it's
how
not
you
a
do
written
ordinance
document.
resolution. Okay. Yeah.
The TIRZ is, you kinda know how that works?
Yeah, I do know how it works. I'm just trying
So
to
we've
understand
got-
what the projected growth for that area
All
is.
right,
So,
I think I run through your questions real quick, and then we can circle back. to
Okay.
whatever follow-ups you have. We've got the list of who's on the board. You know, it's half the county, half the city.
and how much of the counties of theirs has been realized already?
I guess I don't really, they've got.
How much have they hit their
No, there's-
buy-in or not?
No, they're still, they're getting closer, right? What was it,
Okay.
300K or 3 million or something? What was it?
I thought they were
It's
like
$1
$1 million
It's
something
$1
cap.
million.
Million,
Uh,
okay.
They have about 2 more years on it. I think last year is 85%, and this year will be 80%, and then it goes down to 75.
So that was established by an ordinance or agreement between the county and city, and all that happened before I got here, but the makeup of the board and all that. So yeah, the county will have that board representation until they hit their max, and then they'll be off, and then it'll only be city run. So
Okay, so what is the county's contribution to the debt service of that
Just
TERS?
their dedicated tax rate too. just
That's
like
it.
ours.
Okay,
Well, that's.
but I mean, for the COs, I'm talking about.
That's the
They had
three.
an additional 315,000.
Yeah, for some reason they agreed to make a lump sum, that's what I was saying, 300,000 that they contributed, and but then just their dedicated tax rate from here on out. Now, it's not, you know, that's attached to the debt that we issued to build the roads and
Mhm.
everything out there, so that it's assigned to
That's the
that.
whole purpose of that.
Right. We didn't, we haven't met, you're right about that, that's just really a COVID-related issue. We typically, since I've been here, frankly, we've struggled to get one meeting in a year, but it's mainly because, just what you said, there's not really, to this point, a lot of decisions to be made. That money's dedicated to that purpose. We met with them before we did the road projects, everybody agreed, went through that. But I don't know exactly what.
How do they work with? Okay, so what's the
All right,
what's the
let me
question?
just the TERS report, we don't really have do you have a specific expectation that way?
I'm just trying to figure. Okay, so I'm trying to figure out. The whole purpose of that is to build that infrastructure and then to rebuild infrastructure and to rebuild infrastructure in that area to grow it. And I get that. But why are we pulling from city COs to build in that area too?
We're not.
Roads didn't get pulled from in that 2016?
2019 B
Mm-hmm.
was a TERS
Yeah.
debt,
TERS debt.
and that's what they paid that.
Okay,
way.
but why is there like from the 2016 like streets and sidewalk construction, street lighting, irrigation?
That
for
was-
that
That was in
Dildy.
Dildy and Roy River.
But that's in the TERS.
That was done before I got here.
That's in the COs, yeah. Right?
But so what I'm asking is why if we have the TERS for that purpose,
Oh, there wasn't enough money in the TERS. It's the same thing kind of.
You had to
plan.
wait. We had
so
to
where
wait
does the
3
EDC
years.
run into this and helping to basically do their job and bring, because on that end of that TIRZ 2019 report, I think no. Bless America. It's in my head right now. It's like it has a list of businesses. It's like maybe
Go ahead
projected.
and Ask your question. I think I know where you're going.
It's at the bottom. And it's talking about business. Like maybe they were working at that time is hopefully growth that this would bring in this business. It was like Home Depot, Lowe's, Walgreens, and some of them have come in, but it's like they had dates on it, you know. And when you're selling a bond, and it's like, okay, and we expect this to come in, you know, that 1.5 realized on all that would have been, whew.
If your question is the why, it's a policy issue by the council. I mean, you're right. The TERS
Okay, go back to that.
Okay.
Policy issued by the council. They just didn't want the growth, or what?
No, the other way around. I thought you were asking why are we
Oh, they're-
combining city money with their money if that's what the TERS is supposed to do. That was really we asked earlier about, that was the scenario why we loaned them the money to buy the land, really. It was, we want to, you know,
It's a lot of propping up that area for
I'm
growth.
just saying it's a big broad thing, but the basic answer I think you're trying to get to is we don't have enough money to do the economic development things we want. So the city, again, because the city is typically viewed, the EDC is not totally separate, that we're in it together, that's why they justify spending that money. the other part to this you need to understand about the TERS, which is really unique at how it worked in Elgin, was typically all the other TERS I've been involved in is you buy raw land, you establish the TERS, and then you immediately borrow a bunch of money and attach that debt to the property and put in all the infrastructure. And then the development comes and it makes enough money and pays itself back. That's the way the system works. In Elgin, they took the opposite conservative approach, and they went out and created this TERS in the area, got the county and the city all to buy into it, but then didn't do anything and simply let the money build up in accounts. So when we did this project, unlike what you typically see, we had a TERS that had nothing built, no infrastructure, no land available, essentially shovel ready for development, but had, I don't know, $400,000 in the bank. So we took that money and borrowed, so that's kind of what made it different. But at that point in time, the philosophy was in the council was we need to help get some things going. And the other part about why the land partnership came to be is it's an excuse. I'm just telling you, it was early on in my time here, and there was a strong belief between the EDC and the council that as soon as we put in all these roads, that land will sell like this. So the city's only fronting this money for a year, and we'll have all the money and we'll pay you all back. Obviously, that did not work that way. So that's how we got in the spot with that money. But I'm just trying to circle back to your question about a lot of that. Why are we doing it that way? Truthfully, it's council policy decisions to do it that way. We don't have to support them.
No, I get
You're
that.
right.
I mean,
You're
there's a
right.
lot of propping up the EDC and the TERS right now.
Technically, the TERS, and it will, once it develops, once the property values go up, it works.
No, it does. I get it. I've
It's
seen it work
just-
millions of places, and I've read about it, and it's just, it's not.
As long as it's raw land, it doesn't generate the money. So
No, and that's
why
the thing.
You have to invest to put the infrastructure in, but
The other thing
Yeah,
is
I don't
the
mind saying it. I
the
said
major
this
marketing firm to come in and sell
I'm
us.
just saying,
You gotta
haven't
spend the money to make the
hesitated
money.
to sell
Yeah.
and say that it certainly hadn't developed as fast as I know everybody here thought it would, or I thought it should have, but. I mean,
I'm just trying to figure out, and that's where my questions are: is where are the roadblocks to that? Because it's we have the tremendous developmental growth from a house standpoint, but that's not going to pay the bills. It never is. It's a strain.
It's supposed to keep you even.
Yeah, that's about it. So that's why you need the business, and not to mention the fact we need the restaurants, we need the box stores, we need the stuff. I don't want to put this Georgetown, Wimberley, all those yummy little places. This will be perfect for that.
Plenty of examples of that
Yeah.
all over Austin.
Yes, but if we don't have the support, we become this stagnant bedroom community that people come to and leave, and the city struggles, the schools struggle, and it is a never-ending catastrophe. And so it's like, from me as an advocate and an activist in the community, it's like, where can we push the community to support
I think as
this
far
kind of
as
growth?
New ideas.
The new ideas are
what I'm
constant,
saying
yeah.
is we're open to that, but I'm also saying, that's why I told you that whole story. Sure, most things look back on, can you find ways, maybe you shouldn't have done this or that, but I'm telling you, that was the philosophy, that was a concept endorsed by the entire EDC board and the council. We are thinking what we're doing. They hired Richard CBD Ellis to market their property. I don't. I know we talked to different prospects out there, but why don't we have projects? I don't have an answer for that.
Okay, but that's kind of on you a little bit, Tom. I mean, you're the helm here. I mean, you're the person driving that. You're the influence on the council, giving them the information they need to make those decisions to say, hey, yeah, we support that. We'll get behind you on this. It's like we got all these ideas. It's like, oh, give us ideas what you'd like to see in Elgin. You'll get 300 comments.
No, you don't. That's not.
No, but the problem is that we have ideas. We have an understanding of what we need, but where's the action? We have to have the action.
Well, that's what I'm telling you. I've told you what the action is we're taking. We've bought land, we've spent money, we've gone in debt to approve that land, to make it shovel ready. We have land available at competitive prices. We're supporting every residential development in a meaningful way that's coming here. Number
How are
one,
you showcasing it is what I'm asking. Because I'm coming from a media standpoint on this. And in a marketing standpoint on this. If you build it, that doesn't always mean they will come.
Oh, it does for retail. There's no question about that.
Well, you built it. Where are they?
We haven't built it yet.
I know there's a lot of stuff out there.
As soon as we get 2,000 houses on the ground, we'll have every fast food restaurant, we'll have Walmart or Target, we'll have all those things.
Are we in talks
Look,
with any of these
Stephanie,
people at all?
You know where it came from.
Well-
You know what happened down there. You're acting like
I don't
this
think
is a
that-
new experience for everybody. It's not for me. And I'm telling you, all of that shit didn't happen in Kyle because they're great people or nice.
No,
a big difference is 35, but still, there's 2 million square feet of retail space and a hospital down there that happened while I was city manager there. The reason it happened is because we built 5,000 homes in 5 years. That's why all that stuff is there. So you can recruit. Now, I think there seems to be a strategy, and we're talking about it, trying, Tesla and all the stuff we heard about at the school meeting that happened on 1:30. I think there is a job market there to seize on for our industrial park or our business park. But
Is this Jericho deal still going through?
yes, I think so. It's in the process.
How many
But
acres
what
are y'all
I'm
going
saying
to
about
have left after y'all? How many acres are out there? It's like 600 something.
no,
How much is-
ours, 80.
No, what y'all have, but how much is in that TRZ? It's like
Oh, well, it goes down to it has that huge area between it and County
how much?
Line Road.
Do you know off the top of your head how much open land there is that's open for sale right now? That's not.
All that's open for sale, not much more than ours.
Okay.
That big stretch between Prosperity and
Mm-hmm.
County Line Road is owned by a different family. They're not interested.
Well, it's mostly a flood zone anyway.
Well,
I mean, Maynard's buying flood zones and building them up,
That's
so
right.
you know,
can-
there's a lot of pile of dirt
you
over
can
there
do
by
that.
the.
But the other part too, the TERS isn't really the answer. to that.
No, it's not, but it would have been the answer to the infrastructure should we have kept compiling that with with businesses coming into that zone
If
to help
people-
keep building. It would have
if
finished
people-
those roads where you needed to
If
finish
people
them.
come and build them, yes. But we would have never done this. We would have never got ahead of the roads.
No, you were going to have to go out for a CO on that. That was
Okay. That's
you didn't
the
have to go
whole
for a CO. You could have gone.
have to
You're
go-
going to be surprised when you go out for your GOs. I think you're wrong
About what?
that they won't vote them in.
Well,
I
know
think you
they'll
need to
vote it in. I know the majority of the town favored those. It's gonna be an emergency situation. Of course they're gonna vote for
Well,
it.
the road's not going to be an emergency situation. You're 6 months behind, and what that's going to do is guarantee when those schools go back to school that people are going to be clamoring to vote that in, and have
Exactly.
that's why I think you should ask for it all at once.
Because it'll be a mess.
Well, it will be a
We
mess,
coulda had
but
it built before it became.
you're not going to get it built before November.
We would have had
This
the money, we
November.
would have had the money, we have the money.
You
in
have the
bank
money,
right
but you wouldn't
now.
even have really even started
Next
it.
November we would have had it done by.
Maybe, yeah.
Now it'll be another year before we even get started, before we even have the money.
And it might save you
We're
some money in the
gonna
long
run
run.
into another meeting.
Yeah.
I really
I
wanna
think
get
that's
through
gonna
your
cost
list.
us a lot more money.
So still on the
I don't think
tours,
so.
I told you who's on the
Realize
board.
2 million.
We can, if Jennifer has that list of people specifically, right?
Yeah, she gave it to me. I got
Okay.
it.
No TERS report. There are no transfers from the TERS to the general fund. I guess we talked about that a little bit.
No, there are TERS transfers. Let me see what it is. That's what I thought. I was like, why did we transfer that into the general? Unless it was a reimbursement kind of thing. That went into the.
Any money from the church.
I'll find it and show it to you. I don't want to waste. Y'all got another meeting coming, but I'll screenshot it and send it to you. It's in this one.
That's the way it works. We collect money, it goes into the TERS. Pay money right out of the TERS fund. So.
It was
EDC, the funding agreement, we already talked about
yeah,
that, right?
got it.
Okay. Same from the loan, or do you have more?
No,
Charles
I
has got those two
have a
numbers there
good
for you.
understanding of that.
And the quarterly, I assume this was a
Oh,
cut and paste thing on the back there. You repeating your other questions? We already did these.
yeah, I don't know why that did that. Quarterly. Maybe I moved it to the top is where I moved it.
All right, and county line,
That's what they've developed. What you've
well, wait a minute.
The
Make
developers
sure
have
that you
contributed
understand
$3
your
million.
question. Literally, the answer to your question, how much of the $3 million the developers contributed? None. The $3 million that was in the CO was simply a seed money that we were trying to borrow. The whole project is $6 million.
But there's like, what's the $8 million? Is that a MUD thing or was that a development thing
The $8
contribution?
million is the master development agreement.
Master
It has nothing
development
to do with
agreement.
anything else.
Doesn't have to do with this road. Okay.
So, but the 345 is literally what we've collected.
But what they those subdivisions out there dedicated funds for County Line Road. We've been going back and
That's
forth on this.
participation agreement.
Okay,
We have
so-
this agreement.
After-
They're entirely separate from the master development.
No, okay, I didn't put the two together. I was asking where that, because y'all were talking about what was in the escrow account at the last meeting. That's at 345, and that's all y'all realized from the subdivisions on for their.
Yeah, it's not
Contribution.
really, just again, be specific about your question. It's not really an escrow account, but anyway, they've paid $345, just like I've said. They pay at final platting, so it's
So it's the
Evergrass.
last final plat, right?
no.
No.
That's when we'll get all the money. Every time they file a final plat, then they owe us a payment. In the case, let's say Homestead, they've got 450 homes, but they're going to do it in 2 plats. So I think their contribution is like $400K or something like that. So they did the first half, if you've been out there, and they gave us a $200,000 check. That's in this 345. They're building the final plat now. I mean, it's just raw land. It'll be a while, but once they get that ready to start building houses, they're going to develop that whole thing, and they'll pay us the other half of what they owe us then. The Harvest Ridge Altessa mud, contrary, different than this. It's 1,200 homes, but their plant, they may have as many as 8 or 10 plats. They'll be building in smaller groups. See what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So although their ultimate contribution is I think 1.8 or something like that. Yeah, we won't get the full 1.8 till they get all the way.
Okay, so that was the confusion. I was thinking you were not going to get any of that money until they were completely finished, but it'll come in phases.
Incremental.
Okay, and so you've that's what I was asking in there is how much y'all have received in contributions.
What we received is first plat for Homestead and Peppergrass at this point.
And not Eagles Landing. What was the Eagles Landing?
Theirs is 2 and 3 in the back. They haven't started on theirs. Now
Did they-
remember, that's what I'm saying about the final.
I thought they
plat.
contributed to this.
They're contributing to it. They're committed to it. And the point is, like Harvest Ridge,
Yeah,
right
till they
now,
do
if
it.
you go out there now, there's bulldozers running all over the place. They're putting, but it's until they get the final plat is when all that's done
Okay.
and they're ready to build houses. So when we say we won't get all the money until the last plat is ready to build the last homes, that's what we mean by that.
Okay. Yeah,
But
that was the
going
confusion.
Back to the $3 million. That's why the whole idea is when they pay us all that money, they'll pay for the whole cost of building the road. All we were doing with that $3 million was to let us execute the agreement now, build the street now. When all those payments are made, again, we reimburse ourselves from that fund. We pay ourselves back this $3 million.
And that's for phase 1.
Correct.
And then we roll that over to phase 2. and
And
phase 3.
whatever's left would go to, well, now since we've got the grant, presumably phase 3.
So phase 2, where are we with TxDOT on that? Are they we're a non-AD?
Not-
So where's the Travis County Commissioner in on this? Y'all get any help from him?
Nope.
And why?
Well,
Why? I mean, because literally that road is in Travis County.
yeah, our whole play on this from the beginning has been with TxDOT and Travis County both is to to have been able to demonstrate local investment of local dollars and then circle back and, well, I'd say I've talked to Trevelyan about it, but typically with TxDOT, in my experience, that's always the challenge with them is if you're asking them to build a project, then you're standing in line with everybody else. When you can come to them and say, we've built half of it, or we have half the money to build it, we just need you to contribute, then that moves up the list quickly. So truthfully, our play was always to do that in this case once we got started on phase 1. Now it's even better that we got phase 2 from a grant. So the truth is, but that's also always been predicated on taking out that big curve, is a TxDOT project, because they do have that already planned. But our pressure needs to be on them to move that up their list and get that done sooner than later.
And where does that fall in a legislative issue as reaching out to our various people over there as?
Well, since we weren't able to go ahead with phase 1, all that plan is
It would have been
in the mix right now. Stephanie, having a local government stand around asking other people for help.
It's not asking for other people for help. It's that part of their infrastructure.
Well, you've lived here your whole life. Do you really?
I mean, well, I'm not holding my breath on County Line Road. Look at 1100. It was supposed to have been widened 10 years ago.
Well, I've lived here 5 years, and I have a pretty clear understanding about how much Travis County cares about this end of the county. So it's not just this; it's everything that we need to. We've got a bunch of new houses being built out there. They're going to get a lot more tax dollars. Yeah, there needs to be a whole different level.
Yeah,
of
that's what I'm
engagement.
saying. There's a relationship that needs to be built there.
What I'm telling you is, we had a plan. Our plan is.
But that doesn't change the building of the relationship. It doesn't. It doesn't.
I didn't say that.
Yeah. That
I've
we
got
had
to
a plan.
reorganize my plan and my thinking now. That's what we're doing with everything right now. I'm trying to answer your question.
Okay. I'm just wondering. Yeah.
So, county expenses out of the developer, we I don't know. I mean, we literally paid 2 or 3 bills out of it.
Yeah, for engineering, yeah.
The majority of that, the only commitment we have out of the County Line Road Fund is the contract with TRC for $691,000.
Yeah.
And they're really getting into the meat of the plan development right now. Pretty much all they've done to this point is surveying and designating the right of way and all that. So that's why we've only spent 130 out of there now. So again, get that information to you, but it really is only 2 or 3 statements of bills we've paid out of there so far.
And that's more going. I think that's the confusion was the difference between the development fees and then the developer plat fees, the final plat fees. Okay.
I mean, I understand that now, but you
Yeah,
explained it
I know.
to me. I'm not confused about it.
I know. I'm just saying.
Well, I'm just saying too. We're not confused about it. We've been totally open about that, but I appreciate you illuminating that. So, master development fees.
This is why we have a problem. This is the attitude that you have is so. I mean, you weren't even invited to this meeting, and you kind of inserted yourself into it. And I appreciate you being here because you've answered some questions. But by that same token, you weren't invited, and you didn't ask to be invited.
You're not going to meet with any of my staff without me present.
All right then.
You would expect to be able to do that. The way you've acted, the way you've treated us with disrespect.
I pay taxes in this
I
city.
don't give a shit what you pay.
Oh my God.
Do you want me to say that again?
No, I really don't care. If that's it. If you're going to be that disrespectful in a meeting, thank you for being professional. Thank you for being professional. Time to retire. Hit me with the door? What an asshole. Knock me down on the way out.
why you're done.